Welcome to the September 2014 Employee Recognition Ceremony. I am Joanne Swenson, Chairperson of the Employee Recognition Committee. Our committee has been in existence since 1997 and was formed to initiate and coordinate an employee achievement award program to reward city employees for a job well done. Currently, our 11 members are employees from various city departments. Our members not only put on the ceremony, they attend monthly meetings and review Service Number 1, Hats Off, and Kudos Award nominations. Please join me in thanking the members of our committee, Agnieszka Brooks and Sharon French, Sue Holmer, Helene Neal, Captain Rob Nugent, Marcy Reedy, Rachel Smith, Kim Tyre, India Williams, and Joya Rose. We have a great ceremony today and a milestone to celebrate, as another one of our Parks and Recreation employees celebrates 50 years with the city, and 4 other employees celebrate 40 years of service. Also, we have new service awards for those celebrating 35, 40, 45, and 50 years of service. To ensure a smooth running ceremony, we ask that everyone please silence their cell phone or at least turn them to vibrate so we don't get to hear them, and that our presenters limit their comments to 1 to 2 minutes. To our employees receiving awards today, when your name is called, please come forward and stand on the line over here to the left of the podium. Please bring your friends and family along with you so they may be recognized as well. I'd like to turn the program over to Deputy Mayor Tomlin and to kick off our ceremony.
Thank you, Joanne. Good morning. So pleased to be here. We'll start with an introduction of our City Administrator, Gary Cornwell. And saw 2 former members of our city family here. We're so glad that you're here, Anita Treiser and former Deputy Mayor Goliath Davis. Thank you both for being here. It's always good to see former members of our family. I am so pleased to be here to bring you greetings on behalf of our mayor, Rick Kreisman, who unfortunately could not be here, but sends his warm regards. In the many, many honors and privileges that we have in our roles, we count this employee recognition ceremony at the very top. And let me tell you why. It is absolutely wonderful that the city as an organization takes the time out to say thank you and acknowledge the contributions and commitment of the 2,700 servant leaders who make possible what we do every day. And it's not only that we do it, it's also the way that we do it. As Joanne said, this program is completely conceived, produced, and orchestrated by fellow team members. It's a demonstration of the value, respect, and admiration we all hold for each other. Also, there's a huge focus on families here, and that's wonderful, because we know that, and the mayor says this often, that our families come first. And for many of us, most of us, I believe, they're the motivation behind everything we do and the reason that we're able to do it. And so it's absolutely appropriate that today we not only honor and thank our team members, but we thank the families that stand with them as well. Thank you for sharing your family with our city. And finally, we love that we take the time to do it right. We don't just send out a catalog and ask you to pick your watch or your clock, but we invite your leader to come up and talk about how wonderful you are and the contributions you make and the difference that you make. And that's because we believe in this, and we know that the only way we will become a city of opportunity where the sun shines on everyone who comes to live, work, and play, is if these 2,700 servant leaders are charged and armed with everything they need to do your jobs well. So we thank you for all that you do. Today is very special among these ceremonies. As Joanne said, we honor Thomas Jet Jackson with 50 years of service, and that's an accomplishment that deserves every bit of the accolades that are coming. It's an uncommon accomplishment in this day and age, and again, it's a reflection of this organization, and it's a reflection of the man who's earned the honor. And he's not alone. You know, there are people who have given a lifetime of service to this city, and so we appreciate you so much. And whether you serve for decades or you're among Those employees we welcomed yesterday at our new employee orientation who are here in their first chapters. We know that every corner, every crosswalk, every pristine park is possible because of what you do, and we thank you very much.
We're going to start our program with our Hats Off Awards. We actually have 2 awards to give today. Our Hats Off Award is intended to recognize the contribution of any employee or group of employees who go above and beyond the call of duty. Today we have 2 special people that have met that commitment. Our first Hats Award winner is firefighter EMT Troy Reeves. Troy, if you could come forward. Firefighter EMT Troy Reeves of St. Pete Fire and Rescue Station number 11 for his exceptional performance during an incident on the Sunshine Skyway Bridge earlier this summer. Back in June, Firefighter Reeves was part of the Engine 11 crew responding to a bridge alert call where an individual had walked to the top of the bridge high above Tampa Bay. Upon arriving and finding the person straddling the outside guardrail in the center span in an attempt to jump from the bridge, Firefighter Reeves, along with several members of the Florida Highway Patrol, attempted to talk the individual down off the ledge. After nearly 90 minutes into the call, Firefighter Reeves capitalized upon a moment, leaned into the bridge and secured the person by the arms and chest and restrained him on the shoulder of the roadway until FHP could assist and safely remove the person from danger. During an emergency response call that is very common, the actions of Firefighter Reeves were very uncommon. In the brief moment when Firefighter Reeves realized he could take action, he used good judgment, skill, and bravery, and was able to intervene and stop the individual from a possible tragic event. Firefighter Reeves is commended for going above and beyond his routine job responsibilities and impacting the outcome of a precarious situation, exemplifying the city's mission, vision, and values. Please join me in congratulating Firefighter Troy Reeves. Hats off to Linda Byers, Housing Finance Coordinator, for going above and beyond her daily routine to make the home rehab project of an 87-year-old military veteran more than just a simple homecoming for him and for 2 others. In the fall of 2012, because he could no longer do the work himself, Mr. William C. Scott inquired about assistance to repair his roof. Working with Linda Byers, she learned he was a proud U.S. Marine and had been part of the original Montford Point Marines, the first black unit of the U.S. Marine Corps. For some reason, Mr. Scott and 2 other local Montford Point Marines were not included when 360 remaining survivors of this distinguished group were honored by President Obama in 2012. The home renovations were much more extensive, but with funding from Florida's State Housing Initiative program, the city's housing department was able to totally rehabilitate Mr. Scott's home, including roof replacement, electrical, plumbing, new walls, windows, flooring, cabinets, bath, and more. After months of construction work, including assistance from local businesses to help with the interior decorating, Linda resolved to complete the necessary paperwork so Mr. Scott could receive his long overdue Congressional Medal of Honor. Her determination paid off. On November 8, 2013, during a celebration across from the newly renovated home in Wildwood Park, Mr. Scott, Mr. John Ayers, and family members of Mr. Samuel Blossom were presented with medals by members of the U.S. Marine Corps Forces Central Command from MacDill Air Force Base. The event fell on the 238th birthday of the U.S. Marine Corps and 3 days before Veterans Day. Mr. Scott's family is appreciative of Linda's exceptional determination, not only for engineering the home renovation, but also for a memorable celebration honoring Mr. Scott's military service during World War II, the Korean conflict, and the Vietnam War. Linda is commended for a job well done. She was named an honorary Montford Point Marine by Mr. Scott and received a new U.S. Marine red ball cap. In September 2014, she and the city's housing department received the Exceptional Leadership Award from the state of Florida SHIP program for her outstanding, caring efforts for this project, clearly demonstrating the city's mission, vision, and values. Please join me in congratulating Linda Byers. Our first award goes to 5 members of our fire department group. If Lieutenant Henry Simmons, firefighter EMTs Christopher Oliver and Christina Snoots, firefighter paramedics Nicolette Claveau and Daniel Shanks could come forward, please. Their nomination actually came from Mrs. Priscilla Cowan, one of our residents here in St. Petersburg. It says, the Rescue Division received a letter of appreciation from Mrs. Cowan thanking the above individuals for the care they provided to her husband during a recent medical emergency. Her letter reads, to all the terrific folks who saved my husband's life on August the 16th. We are so grateful. My husband is alive because of your dedication, speed, caring, and know-how. Thank you. The incident involved a male suffering from low blood sugar. The episode was extreme with a reading of 14. A finding of this magnitude requires immediate intervention in the order to stop or limit damage to major organs. Firefighter paramedic Shanks and firefighter EMT Snoots were able to quickly assess the severity of the situation, call for additional resources, and rapidly treat as a crew moved the patient down to the awaiting transport unit. It is very evident that great patient care, scene management, and overall teamwork provided this patient the ability to arrive at the emergency room in stable condition. Please join me in congratulating our firefighters. And our second Service Number 1 award goes to Beth Bates. Is she? Come on up, Beth. This is a letter that was received from the Brew family. It says, I wanted to share a success story with you about my son Cameron and Fossil Park Pool Supervisor Beth Bates. I know, I'm going to start crying too. Cameron was blessed with high-functioning autism. As with most children on the autism spectrum, Cameron was drawn to water before he developed swimming skills. He received private lessons as a toddler and had the basic swimming skills needed for survival and water play. A few years ago, my son Cameron had a failed attempt exiting the slide at the North Shore pool. He panicked upon exit and needed assistance finding the exit area. The experience scared him to the point that he no longer wanted to swim past the steps of the pool. This summer, Cameron attended Willis S. Johns summer camp program. The group went over to Fossil Park weekly for swim time. Cam was too scared to participate in the swim test that took place partially in the deep end. I talked with pool supervisor Beth Bates about Cam's prior near-drowning experience and his fear of deep water and the slides. She offered to work with him privately to help him regain his courage in the water. The two met weekly. Each visit, they crept closer and closer to the deep end of the pool. Beth spent a lot of time building Cam's self-esteem, encouraging him, congratulating each dive and lesson completed. By the end of the summer, we were pretty close to the deep end, and at last, conquering Cam's fears, they were also pretty good friends. This past weekend, my family went back to North Shore Pool. I saw him staring up at the same slide that he couldn't catch his breath from years ago. I whispered in his ear, "Are you ready, buddy?" He smiled and slowly walked to the platform. "I'll be right here at the base. You can do this." And with one brave breath, he climbed the platform and went down the slide. He sprung out of the water with delight. "I did it, Mama. Can I go again?" He spent most of the morning climbing up the platform and going down the slide. I lost track of the count after 15 go-agains. Mission accomplished. The week I ran into Ms. Beth from Fossil Pool, I shared the same story with her. The look of accomplishment on her face was identical to the look on Cameron's face when he sprung from the water. Beth Bates has a true heart of service. We appreciate all of the time and energy she dedicated to helping Cameron conquer his fears. Please join me in congratulating Beth Bates. Okay, we're done crying. We're done. Okay, now on with the show. Our first service award is going to be our 50-year award that goes to Thomas Jet Jackson, presented by Mike Jeffries.
Boy, that feels like a setup following the Service One Award. Trying to keep my eyes dry. I will do my best to stick to the 1 to 2 minute guideline, but Thomas Jet Jackson makes that next to impossible with all of his accomplishments and his outstanding performance. Today we are celebrating Jet Jackson and the 50 years of service that he has given the city. But Jet is quick to tell you that it's actually 54. He started in 1960. Jet actually has 4 years of part-time service that somehow fell off the record. I guess Oracle wasn't around in 1960. Current assignment, Jet Jackson is our Parks and Recreation Manager over several very important, very large areas of our department. He is over the TASCO division, which I see many of our TASCO employees here today. Jet is over half of our recreation centers. And Jet is also over our athletics programming division. Previous assignments are many. Jet has supervised multiple recreation centers, including Campbell Park, and the newly named Thomas Jet Jackson Recreation Center, which is formerly known as Wildwood. I looked through Jet Jackson's personnel file, and as you can imagine, after 50 years, it was quite thick. And the number of awards, the number of certificates and notes of accommodation were numerous. There are several that have jumped off the page. One we just mentioned. For the first time in any of our memory, we are naming a facility after someone who is still with us, and we're very blessed that he is. Our city has a policy that has been long-standing that we only name facilities after an individual after they are deceased. And our council and our elected body made a decision that Jet's contributions to this community were significant enough that he should enjoy that recognition while he's here with us. And I think that's very, very telling. On a lighter note, the other award that jumped off the page was an award in 1998. And Jet, I'm not sure if you remember this or not, but apparently the Deltas voted Jet as Mr. Wonderful. So I'm not sure what you did to earn that. I don't want to get into the details. Jet's education, Jet graduated from Gibbs High School, Gibbs Junior College, Albany State, and Eckerd College. I asked Jet what his most memorable moment was throughout the 50 years, and he quickly answered working with second and third generation campers. He loves it when folks have come through our system and then become employees. But there's a few others that were in his file that I thought we should mention. Jet is probably one of the only civilian employees that I'm aware of that's been shot in the line of duty. Apparently, Jet turned somebody down for extra cookies at Camel Park, and the individual came back and shot him in the leg. That is a true story. The other story that I thought was funny is Jet can tell some pretty good details on teaching our deputy mayor, Dr. Kanika Tomlin, how to swim. Apparently, she was one of the higher maintenance individuals that learned how to swim.
All by the hair.
Exactly. Community involvement, the list is long. I'll keep it brief. Jet is a very active member of St. Mark's Missionary Baptist Church. He's a member of the city's CART team. He mentors at Gibbs. He's part of the Gibbs Alumni Association for 1963. Jet has been married to his wife Rhonda for 41 years, has 4 children, 7 grandchildren. There's a brief paragraph that I want to share with you. I typically don't read paragraphs, but this one is important. I think it really summarizes what his career is all about and his impact to the community. This paragraph was in the Weekly Challenger about 3 months ago, if memory serves. Jet is commonly referred to as a pillar of the community. From the early days of teaching generations of St. Petersburg residents to swim, through his 50-year career with the city of St. Petersburg, Jet has always been an outstanding community servant. But the real measure of Jet's impact in the community does not come solely from his city employment. Jet's life in St. Pete has been about service to the larger public and should serve as a role model to others. Jet has always been there when the community came to call. Whether it was a child or a family who needed support, a grief-stricken neighbor, or a community member that needed a strong shoulder or a community occurrence that required his calming influence, Jet has been there. As I admire the work that Jet Jackson has accomplished over the last 50 years, I'm reminded of one of my favorite Bible verses, Matthew 25:21. Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things, and I will put you in charge of many. As a God-fearing man, I know that Jet is driven by love, kindness, and integrity. I would like to take this opportunity to thank him for his friendship, his past mentoring, and his future mentoring. Please help me congratulate Jet for 50 years of service.
Robert. It's my pleasure to recognize our marketing director, Robert Danielson. So it's been 3 decades for Mr. Danielson, 30 long years since he found his way to City Hall. He's had his hand in everything St. Pete, from Miss Florida to St. Pete Pride to baseball. If it happened in the Berg, our good man Robert helped tell the story. So now it's my pleasure to tell you about him, to give him recognition and a little bit of glory. Now I promise you, Robert is dying right now. He may stay alive just so that he can kill me later, because not only have I gone way off script, but he's so shy and modest, I'm sure he's brighter than a red tomato. But I can't pass up this opportunity to celebrate Robert's greatness and all he's done for you and me. He's the man behind our marketing, the writer behind the story of our city. Now, how well do you know Robert? Behind all those emails, brochures, and signs beats the heart of a gentle giant who uses his creative talents to make St. Pete shine. But he's much more than a marketer. He's as great a man as he is a talent. And after I finish telling you how awesome he is, you may be inclined to call him Clark Kent. He started his city career as a publicist for the Pier and spent the next 15 years working on something we all hold dear, He scripted the world's largest groundbreaking for baseball. "I dig the stadium," was his clever refrain. For that great work, and so much more, 75 awards he's claimed. Regional, state, national, even worldwide. People take note because of the awesome words our dear Robert wrote. If he had to count, he's penned more than 2,380 press releases about our good news. Yes, Robert stands before us today because he's definitely paid his dues. He's paved the path for others who follow in his steps, and he's always pushing the envelope to lead us to what's next. And we're not the only ones who love him. Accolades come from far and wide. Just last week, he won an award for his leadership with St. Pete Pride. He's a traveler, too. That's something else that everyone should know. From Africa to South America, there's no place this guy won't go. And there's not much that he won't do for those he calls his friends. Ask India, Bob, and the whole marketing gang. They'll tell you he'll be there through thick and thin. And so that's what I honor most, and this long list of things about Robert to love. He's loyal, committed, and talented, truly heads and tails above. He's been here through multiple mayors, because see, our teams, by design, we come and go. But thanks to the faithful servant leaders like Robert and all of you, the city goes on with the show. And so thank you, Robert, for all that you do, all that you've done, and all that lies ahead. And although I know you want to kill me, remember the mayor needs me well and alive, not dead. Congratulations, Robert, and 30 great years.
Unfortunately, the director's under weather and won't be in today. But I have the pleasure of recognizing, two of our staff that have dedicated 35 years of service to our great city. If Tommy Johnson will come up. Tommy's been with the city of St. Petersburg for 35 years. His current position is that of foreman. He's a gentleman I've had the pleasure of working with the last 7.5 years. I tell you, he's a quiet storm. Both these gentlemen we'll recognize are those that are unwavering in their dedication and service. They tend not to want any limelight or spotlight, but I must tell you, you can't have water. Both of them work for the water system maintenance section of our department, and they ensure that we have quality drinking water going every day. And I'm sure Chief Large and the firefighters appreciate that. Tommy enjoys playing cards, not for gambling, as he told us. He's very high in the Masonic Lodge. He's been with that organization for a number of years. Since 1982, he was inspired to become a Mason because of his grandfather. He's a Prince Hall Mason. He's held positions from high priest to worshipful master, and he's currently the deputy district Grand Master in the Wishful Mason, Prince Hall Masonry. Tommy's one of those people that is very dedicated to his service. He works hard, and his attitude and his mantra is do it right regardless of what it takes. He's looking forward to retirement. We're not happy with that. He's got 2.5 years to go. He's in our drop program. And some of the memorable things of Tommy is when he put a water main in back in hydrant and valve back in December 2006. It's a very difficult job. Again, these men and women that put water lines in, we take it for granted, but they're working under a high-pressure situation, and Tommy felt like that particular valve and hydrant replacement is very important to our system. He takes great pride in that. As far as family, his memorable moments when his son was born, and he's a dedicated community person. He loves doing the things that he does, and we're proud to have him on our team. So please help me congratulate Tommy Johnson for 35 years of service. Coleman as well is has served with us 35 years. His current classification is a water system maintenance technician. He worked under the leadership of gentlemen like Mr. Tommy Johnson. What's amazing about Johnny, he's got many hobbies. He loves fishing. If you're an avid fisher person, he'll give you some secret hideaways over at Tier Verde in terms of making sure you know how to bring home the big catch. Johnny is one of those that, while he's given 35 years of service, over the time his leadership has says he's dedicated to making sure that the job that we do every day goes unnoticed, that people have service, and he's a quiet storm, if you would. He's there at work a lot of times. You have to make sure you ask if he's there because you don't really see him a lot of time. He's a very proud parent. His daughter, one of his most memorial opportunities when his daughter, was inducted to the Basketball Hall of Fame. And she actually was a UCF basketball player and currently has come back home to serve in our community as St. Pete High basketball coach. And he takes great pride. He takes no credit for being the person who inspired, as you can see, and this is his comments, he's too short to play ball. But he takes pride in what she's accomplished. Just as Mr. Jackson has touched so many lives, I've got quite a few staff who talk about that. And Tommy is one of them, that Mr. Jackson inspired him, taught him how to swim. So although he didn't play basketball, he was a swimmer under our legacy, Mr. Jet Jackson. Johnny is motivated by seeing the job done. When we talked to him recently about, do you have any desire to retire, his thing was no time soon. So please give Johnny Coleman a round of applause for 35 years.
Good morning. I'm here for Jamie Kozaleski for her 25 years of hard work and service. Jamie's very modest about what she wanted me to talk about, so there isn't a heck of a lot. Jamie has been with us for 25 years, 10 of it as a parking enforcement officer, and then, of course, the last 15 years, she has been the parking enforcement supervisor. Over the 25 years that she's been in parking enforcement, it has gone from department to department and finally settling back in the transportation and parking division. 5 years ago, a big transition that they had was a hard-nosed sergeant coming from the police department to kind of guide their parking division. And of course, that sergeant wasn't looked on as somebody that anybody wanted to deal with except for Jamie. Jamie came into the office with open arms and greeted me and made me feel at home. And between the last 5 years, her and I have been able to really make the place a good place to work. Some of her community involvement, when there were two grown boys, they are now, but as they were growing up, she was very involved in the soccer community and became a women's soccer coach for the team. She's been doing that for the last 10 years. And a fault of Jamie, and it's a good fault, we work in the downtown area. There are a lot of homeless people down there. And Jamie cannot walk by a homeless person without doing something for them. I have seen Jamie buy them food. I have seen her get in her car and go buy them something specific that they needed. Toiletries, anything that they need, she is taking care of it. I have seen her get in her car and drive homeless people to the hospital, to wherever they needed to go to get home, and I'm very proud of that. Some of her activities that she likes is gardening. She does a little line dancing. and just recently took up golf. And if anybody in the golf league has seen her, they will know that she is why we're getting done a little bit slower nowadays. The only thing she wanted us to remember at this point is she wants to do 5 more years. So hopefully we'll be back here in 5 years for her 30-year. I appreciate her as a supervisor, and she has made my job that much easier, and thank you very much, Jamie.
Good morning to all of you in your respective places. Rick Ramsey, would you please come forward and bring your family as well. Give him a hand as he comes. I've had the privilege of working with Rick for 1 month, 3 weeks, 2 hours, and 30 seconds, but who's counting? Tony Dungy wrote in his book, Silent Strength, that you can't always control circumstances. However, you can always control your attitude, approach, and response. Your options are to complain or to look ahead and figure out the way to make the situation better. These words exemplify Rick within itself, because during the time of working with Rick, he's shown me so much silent strength. He's not a man of many words, but he is a man of action. Just to give a brief overview of Rick, Rick has been with the city for 20 years, and he's a proud alumni of the Bogosiega High School. Deputy Mayor. He attended P-Tech, where he learned graphic arts, where initially he worked for United Way as a printer, correct?
Yes, ran the print shop.
Ran the print shop for United Way. Then he came to the city of St. Petersburg, where he's currently now the supervisor of security. Rick's community involvement is he's very involved with his church and, of course, his family. He speaks highly of them all the time, and he always talks about different things that he does with his family and different projects that he does with his in-laws. But he's a good man for the time that I've known him. Rick's hobbies include watching football, movies, action movies especially, music and gospel and soul. One of Rick's greatest accomplishments that he says is that he's been married for 17 years to the same woman and his 24-year-old daughter, so he's very proud of them. Join me, if you will, in congratulating Rick for 20 years of service.
My pleasure today is to introduce Amy McGarr, we're celebrating her 25-year anniversary with the city. After 25 years, we're still waiting her to grow up into the part. But anyway, Amy's a real estate, our real estate and property management department is a real estate coordinator. In that position, she gets to work with a lot of different departments. I mean, she's worked on acquisitions from the expansion for the police department area to Wildwood Park, Child's Park, a lot of things that everybody gets to go out and enjoy today. She was instrumental in the acquisition of during her tenure with real estate. She actually began in 1989 in doing area improvement plan acquisitions. Then with budget cuts in 92, went to public utilities and water resources for 8 years, where she mainly worked on easements, surveys of the water transmission mains, and was there to assist in the transfer of a lot of the water assets that the city owned to Tampa Bay Water through the governance items. Also during that period of time, she had the opportunity to become driplet in what you might remember was the Drop Saver program, and they had this costume of a water drop that Amy will tell you there was a lot of tryouts and that she won it, but actually it's because she was the only one that fit in the costume. So she served in that role, throughout the duration of that program. And the other big parts of Amy is her continued dedication to not only city programs, but to other items in the community. She's been doing Santa calls for the past 15 years. She's been our United Way campaign coordinator for our department for most of the 14 years she's been with me. She has also been a Girl Scout volunteer for over 20 years and been awarded every adult award that they can give, probably because she still fits in the Girl Scout uniform. And she's been a member of Girls, Inc. on their board of directors since 2000, and she served 5 terms as president of that organization. Also, in the volunteer efforts, as you all know, there was a program of St. Pete Reads that started in like 1992. I forget when that ended, but Amy was a volunteer in it during that entire period of time. And interestingly enough, came across a young lady that she was mentoring in the St. Pete Reads program that then, as she grew older, Amy recommended for a Doorway Scholarship and was her mentor all through junior high and high school. She was awarded her scholarship. Now it's a college degree. And with the closing thing, the one thing that Amy probably doesn't want me to mention is the fact that she's also informed me that this is going to be the last service award that she's going to get because next June she's going to leave the city. So we'll congratulate her on the 25 years and wish her well when she goes home. Thank you.
Good morning. What a great ceremony. Only thing I've been hearing about from my staff and the fire department and other people, they say, get ready for the fire chief. He always has something to say. I have nothing to say. Just to let you know, the mayor and the city council approved us to go in a dark uniform. So whatever you say, you won't see it coming. I totally agree because we got to fix your mistakes every time. So first person up at bat. Are you done now? You didn't see it coming. We're here to recognize the officers that have done a great job. So the first one, Officer Arkovich, please come up. We're going to recognize Officer Arkovich for 25 years of service. I met Officer Arkovich a while back when we both sat on the MAD Council. He started his career here in dispatch, and then from there he went to Patrol Division, and he really found his calling. He's been on the DUI squad for the past 15 years, so that says a lot. He does a lot for our community to make sure that we're safe out there when people are driving around intoxicated. He's also an instructor. He's an FDLE instructor. He's an expert witness when it comes to DUI. He has numerous awards, been nominated for several awards. The two that are outstanding are the MAD Century of the Year and MAD Millennium of the Year. So that shows you the dedication he has in ridding our streets of intoxicated drivers. He also has a degree in journalism, so be careful when he writes that police report. He writes a great police report. So with that, I'd like to congratulate you for 25 years of service. The next officer come up, Officer Miller. I'd like to recognize him for 30 years of service. As you know, like I said, I'm the new police chief, and I'm still getting around to meet all the officers. So this morning was my first time meeting Officer Miller. I think I scared him a little bit because he says, Chief, it's glad to meet you. I never met you before. I said, I guess you must be on midnight because I only have one more squad to go. He says, I'm not on midnights, Chief. So then I found out as I'm reading the bio, he's signed to Marine Unit. I said, your job is safe, relax. I just haven't made it there yet. So with that, I'd like to recognize Officer Miller for 30 years of service. Officer Miller has done a lot for our Marine Unit. He's been assigned there since 1996. He wrote the manual on how to do our enforcement on Marine Patrol. He also formulated a disaster plan relating to Marine issues. He's an expert in his field. People recognize him for that also. He is a member of the State of Florida Water Response Team, Joint Task Force, trying to put you to the division. Maybe you are getting a promotion. He's also our instructor. One of the biggest things, high liability. That makes sure the officers understand what they should and should not do. So I thank you for that. So for 30 years of service, thank you very much for everything you've done.
Thank you, guys. It's my distinct pleasure to call up Mike Jeffries for his 20-year certificate award and his family. Excuse me. And you get a standing ovation. Carrie, the whole family needs to come up, please. Mike brought a whole row of supporters, and he's got his beautiful wife, Carrie, and 3 gorgeous daughters, Peyton, Kendall, and Keegan. Where, Mom and Dad, Debbie and Mike Jeffries, and Craig Schaefer, his father-in-law. They all have to come up. Please, oh, come on. Yeah, but nobody wants to look at just Mike. Seriously. I thought I was going to have a hard time finding something nice to say about Mike. His mother, Debbie, informed me that he has beautiful children. On a more serious note, thank you all for joining us up here. This is a 20-year award for Mike. It's an interesting journey. I think the journey is more interesting because of the achievements along the way. 20 years ago, June of 1994 to be exact, Mike started entry-level rec aid. This was Coach Mike out at Rio Vista Park. Loved by parents, loved by children. But the remarkable story is this is a 20-year journey. He stands before you today as the Parks and Recreation Director, one of the largest departments in the city. That's a remarkable journey. Along those 20 years, while he's working full-time in a variety of jobs throughout the whole department, he managed to go back to school, complete his 4-year degree, has a business management degree from USF, which I know many of you have done that, but that's remarkable to be going full-time and get your 4-year degree. And probably his most remarkable achievement of all was he found this gorgeous wife, Carrie, and got married and has 3 beautiful girls. He met Carrie, I'm proud to say. She also was a Parks and Recreation employee. We do many things in the Parks and Recreation Department. That might be his biggest, that didn't sound right, did it?
That was under the previous director.
Right. What my friend meant to say was, we help people find, friends and whatever. I haven't done this for a while. Okay, moving on. As I mentioned, the end of this, not the end of the journey, honestly, it's only been 20 years. He's so young to have such a big position of responsibility, and he does such a great job. $32 million operating budget, 2,300 acres of parkland, athletic fields, rec centers, pools, beaches, special events, teen programs, therapeutic programs, senior programs. It's a big responsibility. And you can look through a personnel file, and it's very obvious why Mike got promoted. All the adjectives on our performance evaluations, I mean, they're all there. But what I think you can't teach somebody and you can't train somebody, Mike is so successful because, honestly, he loves his job, he loves his department, he loves his staff. And he loves the profession. And that's, like I said, it's not something you can teach. You either have that inside you or you don't. I could tell you all the other boring stuff. There's a lot of boring stuff about you, Mike. I didn't realize it till I read what you wrote. But anyway, he does have a lot of Parks and Recreation certifications, everyone known to man, and state and national. He's got a couple of IT certifications along the way. I told you he was boring. He participates with the city. The city's important to him. He participates on the police pension board. He's certified as a pension trustee. The Florida Central Credit Union Supervisory Committee, FRPA. I told you this was boring. NRPA. He does more than his part. He contributes. He's an active, vital part of the city. He volunteers with the Bay Point Elementary PTA, although he might have to do that. That's where Carrie works, right? Yeah. Anyway, no, he volunteers with St. Pete Together, and he's very active in his church. He camps. He loves his family. Family time is very, very important to him. As you can see, his extended family obviously loves him very much and supports him. Mike did put one interesting thing down. He told me I could tell one story, and it's actually a show and tell. May I have the bat? Thank you. I did bring it. I will tell you right now, if you walk around with a baseball bat, you get a lot of attention. I had about 10 people ask me why I had a baseball bat. The background on the baseball bat story, back in 2010, gosh, I guess I'll blame it on Gary Cornwell. We were still going through budget cuts, and as an efficiency, they decided to combine two of the biggest departments, Parks and Recreation. Cliff Fullick was retiring. I'd been the Recreation Director for 25 years. No big deal. Put those two departments together. Well, Phil's not here, but I will tell you that was a huge task. It was more work than any of us ever thought it would be. It was a little overwhelming. Mike and Phil and I wanted to create one department. We didn't want Parks to feel left out. We wanted a team, you know. Every single day, Mike Jeffries, I swear to you, would come in with some great new idea. Why don't we do this? I've done a SWOT analysis. Why don't we reorganize? Why don't we have new uniforms? Why don't we change the office around? Phil Whitehouse and I just looked at each other. It was like, oh my gosh, they were great ideas, but all this energy is coming at you, you know, and it's a little overwhelming. So Phil Whitehouse took it upon himself to solve the problem, and he went out and he designed this management tool for me to use, and I will read it to you. It says, Mike Jeffries, Suggestion Management Tool. I keep this in my office to this day. Kanika, Gary, if you, Coach Dudley, if any of y'all ever want to borrow this, anybody, it's in my office. Carrie, feel free. I think hidden in that is the fact that he's got energy, he's got ideas, he likes to share, he likes to improve things. Please know, all kidding aside, I appreciate that energy, I appreciate your strategic thinking. I think the city is very, very, very fortunate to have somebody with your talent, your ability, most of all, your character. Not to get sappy, Mike is a man of compassion and he's also a man of honor. So I consider it a privilege to work with Mike every day. Please join me in thanking him for joining us. And I'm keeping back. And yes, Mike did go to the side.
Right. Actually, my wife found the appointment on my calendar and invited everyone unbeknownst to me, so I was surprised to see everyone show up today, so thank you very much. I would like to welcome Jerome Hopkins to the mic. All right, today we're celebrating Jerome and the 30 years of service he's given to the city of St. Petersburg. Jerome began his career at the Pier, where he worked for 5 years. He then moved over to the Parks Construction Division, where he worked with athletic fields. Again, we have found that we can design our own fields and be more efficient and more effective that way, so Jerome has been a major part of that component. Jerome has also worked in the Waterfront District, and most recently he works in the Central District, a very high-maintenance district with all the central business owners, and Jerome keeps them very, very satisfied. When he began in the Central District, he worked at Wildwood Park, now Thomas Jet Jackson Center, and received an Outstanding Performance Award in July of 2013 for his dedication to the park. Whenever he works, he buys flips, which are frozen treats, for any of the kids that can't afford them. He's always looking out for his play campers. He keeps a close eye on those kids that he calls his. Within the last year, he's transferred to the downtown area and is now responsible for maintenance at the Coliseum, the Sunshine Center, and the Shuffleboard area. He's also earned his irrigation repair certification, which has been a huge help to the department, as you can imagine. Before his career with the city, he worked as a chef at Bayfront Concourse, now the Hilton. One of the interesting stories that Jerome listed on his paperwork, while he was working at Wildwood, he came upon a lady who was crying. She told him she had lost her job, she had lost her apartment, and that she was hungry and had no place to go. Jerome quickly reached into his pocket. He grabbed her money for lunch, paid for her bus fare, and gave her $5 extra. About five months later, she came back to the park and found him. She tried to give him $100, but he refused. She thanked him for his generosity and said that God would bless him for his kind deed. I think that's a special story, and it shows the integrity and it shows the sensitivity of our employees. Overall, Jerome's positive attitude and ability to interact with the public has made the move to the Central District a very positive, perfect fit for the city and for the Parks and Recreation Department. Jerome is married to his wife, Kimberly, and has a daughter, Jocelyn. And unfortunately, they weren't able to make it today. Please help me and congratulate Jerome for 30 years of service.
Good morning. First, I'd like to invite up Robert Norton for 20 years of service with the City of St. Petersburg. As I said, this is Robert Norton. He's a Recreation Supervisor 1 with our Tasco office. Before coming to Tasco, Robert worked as a recreation aide at Shore Acres, Northwest, and our Gladden Park Recreation Centers. He also was a video specialist with Channel 35, and then he came to us, I think, as a graphic designer 1 in 2006. And then his position after that was upgraded to his current position of Supervisor 1. Robert, as I said, works in our Tasco division where he oversees our technology office. He runs our Center for Teen Technology and our technology camps, summer camps, and part of the video photography today is part of his staff doing that. One of his most memorable work moments is when, in 1995, Mr. Valeni, who took Robert into Tasco, convinced him that he needed to stay there and that would be good for his career and bring the technology to the city for the teens. That was something that we were lacking in, and Bobby and Robert really took their vision of technology and brought it to our Tasco teen programs. Before coming to the city, Robert worked with WB 57 in Philadelphia. Is that a radio station? TV station. He worked with the Pinellas County School Board and the Home Shopping Network. Robert participates in HELP, which is a holiday community service event taking family portraits for those who can't afford it. And his hobbies are snowboarding, wakeboarding, volleyball, and obviously photography. So help me in congratulating Robert with 20 years of service with the city. And next, I'd like to invite up Barbie Van Camp. Barbie is also being recognized for 20 years of service with the city, and she is a Recreation Supervisor 2 for our therapeutic and also our Azalea Adult Center. As I said, Barbie's been with us 20 years. She came to us in our therapeutic office and worked there the whole time. She has worked for us on our wellness committees. She's chaired that. She's been a committee member also. She's helped us with our policies and procedures and also with our accreditation. She's been a vital help for that. We're in our second cycle of our agency accreditation. We were accredited for the first time 5 years ago. National accreditation through CAPRA, the Parks and Recreation Professional Association, and NRPA. We're in our second round now, so Barbie's had valuable input in that. She's had numerous awards with us. Outstanding Service Award, our Lewis Leonard Safety Award, National Therapeutic Recreation Society, National Institute and Recreation on Inclusion Awards. She has, again, a few certifications also. She is a CPRP, which is a Certified Parks and Recreation Professional. She has her CTRS, which is her therapeutic certification in our profession. She has a BS in recreation, therapeutic recreation, and is lifeguard certified to be a lifeguard and a kayak instructor, and there's probably more that I haven't really gotten to. One of her most memorable work experiences, and she works with our handicapped community and runs our Camp Redbird and runs programs for handicapped individuals throughout the year, is seeing one of her programs listed in one of her participants' obituary when he passed away. It was I guess a memorable time and something that Barbie brings such joy with the programming that she offers to that part of our society. Her prior employment was in clinical mental health, And some of the other community involvement she does is she's on the Pinellas Park Recreation Board and a Girl Scout leader and adult volunteer. Outside activities, she enjoys hiking, kayaking, gardening, swimming, and going to the beach. And Barbie loves to travel, so she does a lot of traveling too. So please congratulate Barbie with 20 years of service to the city.
Good morning, everybody. Actually, I'm going to do our 30-year employee first. Bob Schroll, if you'd please come up. Robert. The reason why I'm doing Bob, he's been up all night. I don't know if y'all know, Bob works for Stormwater Pavement, Traffic Ops. He's an electrician too, and Bob is our nighttime guy. So when you're at home asleep and the traffic signals are bad and you expect them to be right the next morning, this is the man that takes care of that for you. So he's right now a wee bit tired after being up all night and being on a call. As I said, Bob has 30 years with the city. He worked as electrician at Fleet. Then it was traffic engineering, and then in 2005 it went over to stormwater pavement and traffic ops. Bob is like I said, has worked in the electrician field with contractors. One of his enjoyments is basically camping. He loves to go to a place called River Junction. And I guess attending today with him is Bonnie Douglas. Bonnie was previously secretary to the mayor and to the city manager. Thanks for coming out with Bob today. A couple of things about Bob. I don't get to see Bob very often because he's, like I said, he goes home, comes in late and goes home early in the morning. Every once in a while I do get to talk to him, and we discuss mostly personal stuff because Bob, like I said, I never get to talk to him that much, and I believe Bob is retiring in January?
Well, December the 26th.
December 26th of this year, and we're going to lose a good person because it's really hard to replace somebody at night. One of the things Bob remembers about being on the night shift, he came in, and naturally it's dark around the building. Somebody had left the window down on the truck. A cat got into the truck, and when Bob got into the truck, the cat started hissing, and both the cat and Bob went out of the truck, but Bob thought it was a snake, so he went a little faster. We also, where we're located at on 9th Avenue North, we have trouble over there sometimes because our vehicles are outside. People attempt to try to steal gas, which is very difficult because a lot of the trucks are diesel. So just to let you know, it doesn't work that way. But Bob has had a few incidences where he got caught up with a young gentleman that was trying to steal gas, lost his hat after he ran. Bob saw him down the street hiding behind a car, and they brought him back, put the Miami hurricane hat back on him, and recognized him as the person that was trying to take the gas. We go through this quite often. I want to thank Bob for his service. Like I said, I don't get to talk to Bob that much, but I really appreciate the work that he's done for the city for over 30 years now. Next up, I would like to introduce Mr. Dave Farnell. Dave has 40 years with the city. He presently is the EO2 in our yard. Dave worked at Fleet in the body shop until the body shop was taken away. I'm not quite sure what year that was, but it was quite a few years ago. And Dave went to P-Tech to learn to do body work. Dave started with the city at 19 years old. This is the only job he's ever had in his life, is working for the city of St. Petersburg. And he's also been with his wife for 40 years. So he sort of planned it this way to keep the same job and the same wife, right? Dave goes, believe it or not, our yard, we house a lot of materials, historic materials, hex block, brick, granite curb. That council passed ordinances that this stuff can't be taken. sold, given away, lent out, or anything. Dave is known as the junkyard dog because nothing leaves that yard unless he's given permission. So if you go over to get something, if you don't have prior permission from the supervisor or the director, Dave is not going to give it to you. And he does a great job at this. I really appreciate that because we have people coming in all the time with fake documents or so-and-so said I could have this. Well, that's not the case. You're not leaving that yard with anything. Dave also, as far as his hobbies go, Dave loves to fish. I know that for a fact. He likes fast cars. He loves NASCAR, and Dave does little body work on the side, that type of thing. He actually painted my boat for me. And his favorite driver is Junior, number 88. I want to thank Dave for all of his years of service, for 40 years. He told me in 2000, when I became his supervisor, that I'm going to be getting out of here real soon. That was 14 years ago, but October 2nd, it's finally going to happen. Dave's also leaving. So I appreciate it, Dave, for 40 years. Thank you.
My pleasure to introduce and recognize Adam Vall for 20 years of outstanding service with the Golf Courses Department. Adam started his employment at Twin Brooks Golf Course in September of 1994 as a part-time golf courses greenskeeper. In March of 1996, Adam was promoted to a full-time golf course greenskeeper, and in October 2010, Adam was promoted to a lead greenskeeper at Twin Brooks Golf Course, a position he currently still holds. As lead greenskeeper at Twin Brooks, Adam leads a crew of 3 other greenskeepers and is responsible for overseeing the day-to-day turf maintenance of Twin Brooks Golf Course. This includes mowing, maintaining and manicuring more than 27 acres of turf grass, maintaining an aging irrigation system, and maintenance of plant material and trees. The golf courses are open 364 days a year, every day but Christmas, so that means that Adam and his staff are up mowing and getting the golf course ready for the first players at 6 o'clock each morning, rain or shine, hot or cold. Expectations from our golfers are very high, especially during these competitive economic times. The quality of condition of the golf course is critical as the golfers show their satisfaction with their wallets. The golf courses are expected to be in almost perfect condition at all times, which can be very stressful. Whether you are battling the ever-changing weather, where we had one of the wettest winters on record this past winter, or whether you're battling the summers like the hottest summer we had here recently. You get too much rain, you don't get enough rain. You are truly at the mercy of Mother Nature and limited to what you can control, but yet you're responsible for the outcome and the quality of the turf. If it sounds like a challenging job, it is. Adam handles the responsibility and the many varying, ever-changing challenges very well. One of Adam's many strengths is that he has many different skill sets and is able to do almost any job that comes his way on the golf course. One day you may find him up to his chest in a hole making a repair to an irrigation line that's erupted, and you may find him the next day jumping on a lawnmower or a greens mower to help catch up from all the rain we've had and catch up in mowing. Adam does this all with a great amount of pride in knowing that he's making a true difference in the condition of the golf course. Adam is looking forward to next May when we plan to start the total renovation of Twin Brooks Golf Course and convert the 18-hole layout to a 12-hole golf course. This should be an exciting project, and I know Adam will play a major role in the overall success of the renovation, as he will be tasked in maintaining the course in excellent condition once the project is complete. On a personal note, Adam is a graduate of St. Petersburg High School. Adam served 6 years in the Navy, 3 years in active duty, and 3 years in the Naval Reserve. Adam tells me he's been with his girlfriend Wanda for a long time. Not sure how long, but a long time. Adam has 2 daughters, Meridian, 18, and Valerie, who is 15. Adam's parents live in the Villages, where he says his father is an avid golfer, even though Adam doesn't play golf. Adam and his family look forward to Halloween each year. They like to decorate their home. In fact, some of the years they've converted their home into a haunted house, and they also like to dress up each year. Adam tells me that his favorite costume was when he dressed up as the Hamburglar, a costume he wore last year. Adam also has a soft side. He has been known to rescue a baby squirrel or two that has been kicked out of its nest and lost its mother. Adam helps nurse the baby squirrel back to health and then releases the squirrel once it's healthy and able to survive. Adam also likes to bike on the Pine Hills Trail and enjoys taking care of his restored 1975 El Camino. Adam, I'd like to thank you for 20 years of outstanding service. Really appreciate all your help. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Good morning. I'd like to introduce to you Bob Baker, who is receiving an award today for 30 years with the City of St. Petersburg. Bob is an equipment mechanic, too, for Fleet. He started out his career with sanitation as a solid waste mechanic for the first 25 years, and now he's worked for Fleet for the past 5 years. Bob grew up locally. He's a graduate of Seminole High School. Bob was very, very involved with the first generation of the one-man garbage trucks that everybody's very used to right now, but Bob was on the ground floor with that. Bob has a very unique sense of humor, and which kind of defines him as an individual. When asked to fill out the part on the bio about his hobbies and his interests, he says, well, I've never killed an elephant in my pajamas. I lead an ordinary life with little excitement. And that kind of sums Bobby up. But actually, he takes great pride in his yard and is very involved in doing yard work. He loves to go freshwater fishing for bass up on the Withlacoochee River in the small town of Nobleton. Bobby has 2 children, a son and a daughter. And they have blessed Bobby with 4 grandchildren. And you can't get into a conversation with Bobby that very soon something about his grandchildren come up, and that's usually his plans for the weekend, and I know they occupy a lot of his time. With him today is his father. His father is also a retiree from the city of St. Pete. He's been retired for 15 years. He worked for traffic signals. Bobby's been married to his wife, Elizabeth, for 15 years. She wasn't able to make it today, but with that, I'd like to have you join me in congratulating Bobby for 30 years of service.
Just as I suspected, looks like all the PD left.
I'm right here.
Well,
I'm right here.
with the exception of Joanne. Oh, Luke, all right, Luke. Thanks for staying. Thanks. Thank you for staying, Luke, but I'm going to hold it anyway until there's more of you back here. So today I have, I think, about 7 individuals to recognize, so I'm going to go ahead and get started with our 20-year recognition and ask Gary Rowland to come up, and if you have family with you, bring them up too. Just getting the names right here. This is Gary Rowland, 20 years of service. With him is his wife, Melissa, and his mother, Jenny. Gary has 6 children. If I say these wrong, I apologize, but Saban, no? That'll work, okay. Macy, Shalia, Zion, Zachariah, and Zacchaeus. Oh, okay. He graduated Boca Ciega High School, went to Sanford University in Birmingham, Alabama. Gary is an engine driver and an EMT. His certification is in both of those as well as a certified firefighter. His outside activities, he likes to coach youth high school football. He's very involved in that. I've seen him around for years. My son was involved in some of that football, and we were always talking what's going on with the leagues. And Gary was always giving me pointers on where to go to get my son the best coaching and the best training. He's also a personal trainer. And Gary's been with us, I think, 16 years. You started off 4 years with sanitation and then transferred over to the fire department. And we're glad to have Gary. He serves now as one of our mentors to our new firefighters that we have a lot of those. We have quite a bit of turnover going over in the fire department just because of retirements. And it's guys like Gary that we count on to mentor those younger individuals in how to be a good firefighter, how to be a good engine driver, and just how to be a good fit in the family. So please join me in congratulating Gary Rowland, 20 years of service. Okay, next I move to 25 years of service, and I'll ask Mike Damani and his wife Jackie to come up, please. Okay, Mike was hired in 1989. He made lieutenant in 1993, made captain in 1997, district chief in 2010, and then he was appointed to the city's fire marshal position in 2013. As I mentioned, his wife Jackie's with him today. He says he has no children, but does have a highly trained Bichon named Duke. Awards and commendations, N.A.
Uneventful.
Uneventful, he said, okay. He graduated from St. Petersburg Catholic High School, has an A.S. in Fire Administration, an A.A. in General Education, a bachelor's degree in Public Safety Administration. He completed Leadership St. Pete and the Eckerd College Leadership Development Program, and he's attended the National Fire Academy numerous times. He's a former engine and ladder truck operator and a hazmat team officer, state-certified firefighter EMT, Fire Officer 1, and Fire Safety Inspector. His most memorable work moment, and this is one for a lot of us, were the challenges we faced arriving at a rolled-over fuel tanker on I-375 exit ramp in March of 2007. He said our firefighters did an outstanding job that night and confirmed how professional our organization is. This was a citywide effort and required cooperation from many other departments and resulted in a safe and successful outcome. Those of you that remember, we had basically 3 fires going on, one on the interstate, one on the ground, and one under in the stormwater system. And it was a huge team effort. His hobbies and outside interests, I'm sorry, I'm going to try to not laugh. Says I'm a former athlete that still enjoys many activities, including golf and anything outdoors. I also enjoy taking long weekends to explore all areas of Florida with my wife, Jackie. He is a member of the Florida Fire Chiefs Association, the Florida Fire Marshals and Inspectors Association, the Pinellas County Contractors Licensing Board, and the Life Safety Appeals Board. Mike is an extremely valuable staff member, team member, city employee. As the fire marshal is a critical position. It's near and dear to me. I was in that position a long time. And I really appreciate the job Mike does, and I look forward to many more years of serving with Mike. And please join me in congratulating him on 25 years of service. One thing about Pat I've always noticed is he's an extremely quiet individual, evidently very humble, a man of few words. You know, we send out a form. We say, please fill in the form. And I'm not even going to show you the form because there's no reason to. So I'm going to have to go from what I know about Pat. Well, he's married to Jill and has 2 children, Emily and Abby. He did put that down. Very good. That's good. I believe, Pat, you've been a medic about 21 years out of your 25 years, and that's an accomplishment right there. That, you know, every day you're running out and you're seeing, you know, some really horrific things time and time again, and to be able to stay in it and give it that kind of dedication for 21 years is an accomplishment in itself. And he's a graduate of Northeast High School.
Yes.
Yes, go, yeah. Come on, talk it up. I'm a graduate of Northeast too. That's why I'm all fired up about it. He's one of the department activities, he didn't put any down, but I think this is, again, a tremendous accomplishment. We're required to manage the special needs program for emergency, like hurricane evacuation and everything, people with special needs, and it's a very, very challenging program, if you will. It changes year to year. Unfortunately, some in the program pass away. There are new ones that come up with special needs, and to keep track of that and keep the database up to date and the contacts. We have to contact each of those people each year. Well, Pat took that on as a kind of a personal project, a personal mission, and he set that program up, managed it for quite a while, and it's much easier than it ever was to do, and it's just a great job on that, Pat. I really appreciate you doing that. He's a child passenger safety seat instructor. I don't know if you're aware, we do a lot of campaigns on that. About 80% of the car seats, or might be 85%, are installed wrong, and people aren't aware of that, so that's become a big issue. And Pat was early on one of our certified child passenger safety seat instructors. His community involvement, he's involved with All Children's and the Florida Suncoast Safe Kids Coalition. His outside hobby is also golf. So please join me in congratulating Pat Vines on 25 years of outstanding service. I also failed to mention he's second-generation St. Pete firefighter. No, I got it. You gave me a lot. I don't have to. Said keep it brief, and he wrote a novel. The one thing I will mention early on, his father, Bob Coleman, served 31 years with us, so he is a second-generation St. Pete firefighter. His dad, Bob, was my first company officer when I came on a few years ago. He has a daughter, Lucy, and she's attending USF. That's impossible. Last time I saw her, she was talking about that. Anyway, through the years, he's had multiple Run of the Months as awards. We have this award called the Run of the Month, and one of his commendations was he wrote music. He's a musician for fire prevention children's songs. At this time, I'm going to have him sing one.
See the smoke detector.
Oh. He's a graduate of Gibbs High, and yeah, there you go. Graduated from the Fire Academy, certified EMT. As he mentioned earlier, he's helped fire prevention. He put parades down in parentheses. He didn't say much else in that. But Scott was one of our clowns. We resurrected the firefighter clown program some years back. Unfortunately, it's kind of passed away again. But he was one of our clowns for quite a while, and it fit Scott well. He did a great job at it. He's participated in Santa Calling quite a bit, and he's made videos for City Heat, one of the television shows we once had years ago when the fire department had the television station before we gave it to the city. And he's TRT certified. He has 10 years as a driver and engineer, TRT's Tech Rescue Team, and he's not sure, TRT certified 10 years, driver engineer for 30 years, I'm sorry. His most memorable moment was he was at a gas station in 2003 and delivered twin girls.
Help.
He helped deliver twin girls. Again, his community involvement is doing the Santa Calling each year, the public education programs, and the smoke detector program. His hobbies, as I mentioned, he's a musician. He plays the guitar. He wrote music for his own CD. His next stop, he says, is nowhere. I got one of those first CDs, if you remember. It doesn't play in anything today. So you have to give me an updated version. His additional information he'd like to share, he loves this job, and it's a great career. Please join me in congratulating Scott Coleman on 30 years of service. Tom Lewis. Tom was promoted to lieutenant in 1998. His wife, Jeannie, he has a wife, Jeannie, and he has two children, Tom and Amanda. His awards and commendations, he was a firefighter of the year in 1998. He has his fire officer certificate. He's a hazardous materials certification, state fire inspector. He's worked several city events as a state fire inspector as well, mainly working the Rays games and in the command center at the Rays games. That's one of the valuable safety operations that we do is every Rays game, we have a limited staff there to ensure the safety of the 2,000 or 3,000 people that are there. And sorry. His most memorable work moment, he assisted in the saving of twin boys drowning in a pool. It was off of 38th Avenue back in 2012. You may remember that story. His community involvement, he took command of a capsized boat off of the Gandy Bridge, saving 2 men and a young daughter out in the cold water all night long, and several incidents, most memorable, no, community involvement, okay, I'm sorry. And all night long, they were in the cold water, and there were several incidents with the 30 years of service that still stick in his mind as well. That's under the most memorable. I'm sorry, I ran them together. He served 13 years at the Master Station. He was on the hazmat team, and as I mentioned, promoted in 1998, assigned to Engine 5 as a hazmat officer, and he's currently at Station 10, which is 28th Street and 30th Avenue North. So please join me in congratulating Tom Lewis, Lieutenant Tom Lewis, 30 years of service. Next up with 30 years of service, Richard Pashkow. Richard has 4 children, that's why I asked. So that Erica, Jessica, and Megan are not here, but Richard Jr. is here, and then there's, he has 5 grandsons, 2 granddaughters, and a third to be born on November 3rd. Well, congratulations. Richard was hired in 1984. He's past president of the Fire Academy, class number 49. There's probably nobody here that remembers class number 49, but that's way, way back. And he became a lieutenant at Station 17 in 1990. Now, Station 17 is the Gulfport Fire Department. Richard has served with Gulfport on time off and volunteer basis. I'm sorry? Volunteer basis. Yeah, on a volunteer basis for a long, long time. He did 2 years of college after high school. His department activities are all the public education after-hours activities that he can help out with. And I was, like I said, I was the fire marshal for a while, and Richard was inspector the whole time I was there. And I will say this about Richard. It doesn't matter what the job that you have. It can be the best, it can be the worst. I can remember when we were trying to get a CO for Tropicana Field, and we had to have a couple of people crawl around through every nook and cranny of Tropicana Field. It took weeks. And Richard will volunteer. He's always there. He'll always step up. He would come in with Roy Williams at the end of the day, and I mean, they'd be filthy and sweaty, but we got it CO'd. It took a while, but like I say, Richard will always step up and do whatever's needed. He's a certified inspector since April of '82, and certified firefighter since October of '82. His most memorable work moment was, I'm assuming this is an arsonist, when he was an investigator helping to get an arsonist put in prison after, for a couple of years, this person ran in this city, causing a lot of fear and concern. He's a member of the VFW post number 39 in the Men's Auxiliary. His hobbies outside of the fire department are golf, fishing, hunting, collecting guns, knives, baseball cards. It's an interesting trifecta there. We have the guns, the knives, and the baseball cards. And he likes to take walks on the beach with his lovely wife, Karen. Very nice. Okay. Please join me in congratulating Richard Pashkow, 30 years of service. David also has 30 years of service, and I also need to mention David's second-generation St. Pete firefighter as well. His dad, Carl, was a district chief with us, and I worked for Carl and knew him well. His promotional date to paramedic, 8/85. His wife, Penny, she's not here with you, right? No, his wife's not here, Penny. They've been married 21 years. He has 2 children, Heather and Jason, 2 grandchildren, Jillian and Madeline. His awards and commendations, he's won the Walter Patrick and the Burt Smith Award. He has an AA from St. Pete College and a BA from the University of Florida. His department activities, he's a past CPR, first aid, and ITLS instructor. His most memorable work moment, meeting an 11-year-old girl that we had successfully revived from cardiac arrest when she was an infant. And those moments are really special moments, and that's why it sticks in your mind that when when you can save somebody's life and then see them 11 years later, that's pretty, that would definitely leave a lasting impression. And David's kind of a quiet guy too. Well, okay. Let me restate that. Most of the time, Dave's a pretty quiet guy, pretty humble, a lot of pride in the, like I say, in the carrying on the tradition from his father. He's been a great paramedic and a great paramedic mentor for younger medics. And we really appreciate that, again, as we have this kind of a transition to a much younger department. It's guys like Dave that we rely on very heavily to pass on that knowledge and expertise and get those younger medics ready for their most memorable moments. So with that, please join me in congratulating Dave Nasworthy for 30 years of service. I think that's all the award recipients I have. I did have one special thank you I wanted to make. Tasco, I'd like to thank you for staying and doubling the size of the audience while we did this. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Let's please recognize Fred Dargahy for his 25 years of service. Fred is a senior professional engineer in the Engineering and Capital Improvements Department. Fred's the man that takes care of our bridges here in St. Petersburg. He's a licensed professional engineer, a certified bridge inspector, and has a total of 37 years of roadway, bridge, design, and construction experience. He spent 6 years with Hillsborough County, another 6 years with local civil engineering consultants, and he was hired to develop a citywide bridge repair and maintenance program and to develop preventative maintenance measures to extend the service life of the city's 81 bridges. And the biggest bridge we have, of course, is the municipal pier. And Fred and I have spent a lot of time under that pier and repairing it over the past 22 years. And we successfully extended the service life of that bridge from a design service life of 50 years to 88 years. He's, at this time, continuing to inspect that bridge on a periodic basis to make sure it's safe for pedestrian use. His job includes specifying structural repairs, inspecting the substructure and superstructure, and also specifying functional repairs to our bridge, such as sidewalks, curbs, barrier rails, and bicycle and pedestrian railings. And if it was up to Fred, there would be a barrier on everything, anywhere near a bridge. He is very instrumental in keeping our bridge program going and keeping our bridges safe, and it allows me to sleep at night, frankly, having him on board. Fred is well liked within the department. He can always be counted on to get difficult projects done, and he's always available to help with parties and celebrations and food. He graduated from the University of South Florida with a civil engineering degree, and additionally has completed graduate level coursework at USF. He's an active member of the American Society of Civil Engineers and the Florida Engineering Society. He is currently president of the Florida Engineering Society here in the Tampa Bay area and secretary treasurer of the ASCE. We're very proud of that. Fred has 3 children, all who have graduated from USF, and 3 grandchildren. Fred plans to retire in June of 2015, and he's in the drop program, so he's forced to retire. He's going to look for work with the DOT in bridge repair and maintenance, of course. That's his passion. That's what we count on him for. And Fred, thank you for your 25 years of service.
Good morning. Last but not least, my friend Jeffrey Johnson. Jeff began his career with the city in June of 1989 as a meter reader and has served in that capacity for the past 25 years. And to save Steve Levitt the calculation on that, Jeff has read just over 3 million meters for water resources during his tenure. Jeff also serves as our trainer for our new hires, and although that training has the potential to add a few additional hours to his 500-meter route, he believes it's important to share what he's learned over the years with those new hires coming on board. Jeff prides himself as being a representative of the city and goes the extra mile whenever the opportunity presents itself. One day after his shift, while waiting at a traffic light headed home, he noticed a car waiting at that same traffic light had a flat tire. And after alerting the young lady of the flat, she began to panic, realizing that she was going to miss a really important meeting. So still in his city uniform and without hesitation, he changed the tire for her and headed her out on her way. No doubt his act of kindness will be remembered as coming from a City of St. Petersburg employee. And on the subject of uniforms, Jeff wears his uniform with such pride that at the end of his outdoor shift, it is difficult for his supervisors and myself to know that he's actually worked that day. They wear the white shirts and black slacks, and at the end of every shift, he still comes back with that white shirt pressed. His professionalism and work ethic are second to none. Jeff is the youngest of 14 children and still enjoys large family dinners with his mom, who lives here in St. Pete. Jeff has 2 adult children, a daughter in St. Pete and a son in Orlando, who is there with his 2 grandchildren, a 6-year-old and a 3-month-old. He enjoys fishing, reading, traveling, and is becoming quite the avid photographer. Please join me in congratulating Jeff on 25 years.
Good morning. As has been custom, I went through and added up the total years of service of all our awardees today, those that could be here and those couldn't be here. And it's always amazing. This number doesn't ever seem to get any lower as we go on. But all our awardees today had a total of 1,570 years of service. That's 15 centuries, just to give you a rough idea of years of service for the city. And I think that's remarkable. And maybe even more remarkable, because as someone who's been here for a while myself, we're getting to the point now where a lot of our employees, and this is true of workforces all across the nation, and the baby boomers, people are starting to move out of the workforce. They're starting to retire. You heard some of the retirement things today. And so it's very important. I think you heard virtually everyone that came up here today, you heard either a remarkable story of something they've done or something that they've done that was particularly caring, something that contributed to the community. And I think it's very important that we still have this continuity, that we have people with 20, 30, 40, and Mr. Jackson, 50 years of service, because the organization has always been known for those kind of things, for the caring for the community, for the service that they give back. And it's very important that we have people with that many years of service that can continue and pass on the values of the organization to those that are coming into the workforce now as we slowly start to transition some of our folks out. So for all of that, I thank you, and believe me, it's much appreciated, and continue to be mentors and pass that on to our other folks. With that, I'm also going to go through, if I could, and read the names of our attendees that could not be here today. Some of them obviously are out of town. Some of them are just camera shy and would prefer to go out and do their job and provide that service as opposed to being here. But in any event, we still want to make sure that they receive some kind of recognition. So for 40 years of service, we had 3 individuals who were not here. John Jacobs from our Fleet Management Department, John O'Brien from Parks and Recreation, and Ralph Craig for Water Resources. A hand for our 40-year people. For 35 years, we had 2 individuals that were not able to be here today, Luann Porter from our library system and George Holloway from Water Resources, 35-year folks. 30-year folks, Steve Koyman from police, James Culberson from police, Crystal Sanborn from the police department, Rob Bryant from Water Resources, Debbie Bynum from Water Resources, and James Keys for Water Resources. Those are 30-year folks. 25-year folks, Deborah Beckner from Engineering, William Welch from Engineering, Brian Anderson, Fire and Rescue, Trish Adamides from Police, James Alessi from Police, Teresa Hubble from Police, Robert Jones from Police, Christopher Ladd from Police, Lisa McKinney from Police, William Smith from Police, and Madam Madeline Walsh from Police. That was a big class that year, apparently. And Jesse Millette from Water Resources, 25 years. Our 20-year folks, Marilyn King from Billing and Collections, Myong Wilkins from Engineering, Paul Britton, Fleet Management, Connie Oliver from Police, Dina Proctor from Police, Anita Richardson from the Sanitation Department, Sandra Robinson from the Police Department, John Reed from Water Resources, and Terrell Holmes from Water Resources, 20-year folks. Again, I appreciate all of you for being here, and I appreciate the family members that came with you today. Actually, for closing remarks, I'm going to go ahead and ask our City Council Chairman, Bill Dudley, to come up.
Well, I want to thank Tasco for being here. I would be speaking to an empty house here. Excuse me. First thing I need to do is I need to apologize for being late. I thought this thing started at 9 o'clock. I'm strutting in here and I'm looking at this full house and things are going on. You know, when I retired from teaching, apparently they should have given me a watch. But anyway, I do apologize for being late, but I was here for the bulk of it. And it's always an honor. I try never to miss these because I know the dedication it takes to run an organization, a city, if you will. It takes a lot of people to do it. And to be recognized for your accomplishment, not only longevity, you know, just your years of putting service in, but for the outstanding service, which is even more so. People who do the job but do it exceptionally well. And it is always an honor and privilege to be here. And I'm sorry we didn't get the dog and pony show today because we have to break the chief in and he'll come around. But and needless to say, though, it is a great honor to be here, and I wish those of you who still have a ways to go, keep on plugging. This is a great place to work, and you provide a service for our community to make this a better place. And again, thank you all for coming, and I think this closes it. Thank you.